Hello, everyone. Just doing my discussion post for the LMS, looking at online learning systems. I really enjoyed this one because I feel like with COVID and the pandemic still going on, I feel like, well, with everything that we just came through, it might not be quite as relevant anymore as it was a year ago, but I think it's still quite relevant for our day and age in technology. I really enjoyed looking at this because online teaching, online learning is something that I am interested in and incorporating into my teaching. I still prefer teaching in person in brick and mortar classroom, um, but I would love to find ways to incorporate LMS learning. um, The first question, do I think it's appropriate for students to complete online learning and what parameters should be in place? Um, yeah, definitely. I think it's important for them to learn. It gets them familiar with how computers work, gets them familiar with running a computer, typing, everything. Um, because in the real world, there's very few businesses, very few um, whatever career you choose, technology is involved, and learning it the sooner the better um, for students, for children growing up. Um, do you think every state should require students to complete an online course prior to high school graduation? Why or why not? And yes, I think it would be good, especially if you're going to be doing college. Getting used to doing assignments online, getting familiar with an LMS system, LMS learning system, um, would be quite valuable. I know one of the testimonials, I think from the video, from the K-12 video, said that having done that already, yeah, the student was able to roll right into going from K-12 into Blackboard, I believe it was, and it was very intuitive for her. So that's, I would say, is the biggest reason for it, just to get used to that method of learning. What did I learn most from the K-12 video and Lawrence Virtual School Brochure? That was really fascinating to me. I grew up homeschooled. I was homeschooled K through 12, so I never went to school. Um, Now, my mom and dad were very intentional with making us learn. So I know there's a lot of homeschoolers today that don't get the quality of education that they should. But my mom and dad were very intentional and made us work. So I think it's really good. Now, I like the idea of the hybrid. Um, Students being able to work at home, especially for gifted or challenged students. They can work at their own pace. They can, um, yeah, so they don't get bored in class. I see those as valuable. And then um, for students that just want to be at home or just work better from home, work better um, doing it on their own pace. I think there can be a lot of advantages, um, and I think what most struck me was the idea of doing it as a kind of a hybrid, having some brick and mortar classes, but then some online. Maybe even doing and forget, is it called an upside down classroom or reverse classroom, whatever that's called, doing the learning part online and then having discussions in classrooms. Now, that is also probably more effective with older classes, maybe not so much K through 6 or K through 8. Um, Describe your experience working with the LMS. Which system did you choose to work with, and why? And stuff that I liked or disliked, and how could you use the LMS as a future educator? Um, I chose to work with um, Edmodo. Some of that I was partially familiar with. Some of the other ones like Blackboard. Obviously, we use that with here at FHSU, um, and I was already familiar somewhat with Classroom. I wanted something new. I wanted something that I wasn't really familiar with and wanted to explore, wanted to learn. So that's why I chose Edmodo. I really like what I saw. I think it's a very powerful tool, and it's free, which is really nice. Um, Now, I didn't explore all the options. I didn't have time. I don't didn't get to explore the interactions with students and parents directly, which I would like to explore that a little bit more. It seems like a very powerful tool. Um, I did not find anything that I really disliked about the system, and so that's probably because I didn't get into it enough. I didn't get into um, the details of it quite enough. I think I could use LMS in the future, possibly doing an upside down classroom or um, just using it as a place for students to go to get not necessarily extra credit, but more extra practice. If there's a concept that they don't completely understand, just having some games set up, some quizzes that they can take as often as they like, and stuff like that. I feel like could be valuable even if you don't use it as your primary platform, especially if you're in a brick and mortar classroom. But yeah, I see that LMS, regardless of how you use it, is going to be valuable and it's necessary for us to learn for as future educators.